Uniqueness is your superpower. After a successful but unfulfilling career in tech, I set off to uncover what makes people successful and satisfied. I discovered the systems of astrology and human design, studied and applied them for years, and exchanged my 9-to-5 for the entrepreneur's adventure. Now I share insight from the cosmic cutting edge. This podcast is for ambitious people ready to use their unique genius to create wealth, positive impact, and personal fulfillment. We'll talk personal branding, business, and leadership. Time to be courageous and seen. Let's reach for the stars. Let's talk fame, persecution, and the fifth line. This is going to be one of my favorite episodes. I can already feel it. The fifth line is a very special, very powerful, very, much loved, much maligned, much feared, much coveted line in human design. And today we're going to talk about it. Today we're going to get into it. Today we're going to dissect it. We're going to break it all down. If you have a fifth line in your design, or are working with clients who have a fifth line, or love someone who has a fifth line, you will understand them and yourself so much better as a result of this episode, as a result of this podcast. I guarantee it. Let's go. So I have several points I need to go through with you today. Number one, we're going to talk about the projection field and what that means when it comes to the fifth line in human design. We're also going to talk about the hero complex and what that means and why that's connected to the fifth line. Then we're going to talk about the beige effect. Not my terminology. I didn't invent it, but it is so spot on. Can't wait to talk about that. The beige effect, why fifth line people hide and disguise themselves in beige, which is actually hilarious. I'm just realizing this. For those of you watching the YouTube, you can see me. I'm literally wearing beige. I'm wearing beige and I have a cream blanket and it's just all beige right now. So that's kind of funny. Irony. Okay. And then I'm going to talk about choosing your drag, how you choose your drag as a fifth line, and how you can really leverage this super potent profile line. Now, let's start out with the definition of terms. Yes, I have a speech and debate background, and so I'm just nerdy like that. So we always have to define the terms at the beginning of every discussion, so we know what we're talking about. Now, in human design, there is something called the profile lines, and there's 6 different profile lines and several different combinations. And basically, you have 2 numbers. It's the line of the I Ching in which your conscious sun and your unconscious sun fall. Every single planet falls in a line of the I Ching. But when it comes to your profile lines, we're only paying attention to the lines of the sun. And this is really because the sun is, it really connects to, excuse me, let me take a sip of tea. Let's go. The profile lines are all about your purpose in human design. And so, of course, when you look at the sun, you're really looking at, okay, your purpose, your path, what you're here to do, and how you're here to do it. The profile lines are incredibly potent, especially if you're looking at marketing, branding, or even just what kind of thing I want to do. What am I here to help people with as an entrepreneur, as a leader, as an influencer? What am I here to do? What am I here to bring to the world? You're gonna automatically end up looking at the profile lines. So there are 6 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But today we're only talking about one of them. We're just going to do a deeper dive into the fifth line. If you have requests, if you want to know more about the other lines, I am sure I'm going to do more episodes on each one of those. Let me know what you want to know. So the fifth line is the line that people love to talk about. I find that out of all of the lines in human design, people talk about the fifth line the most, and there's no surprise. That's no surprise, because that's kind of what the fifth line is about. The fifth line is like born to be famous. It's born to be talked about. It's born to make an impact. And so there's all these different aspects of the fifth line, which are very exciting. And then there's always a dark side. There's always a low expression. There's always a major challenge as well. So we're going to talk about all of that. First of all, let's talk about what the fifth line is called. I haven't even mentioned that yet. The fifth line is called the heretic. So I love this. I love this. I am a fifth line, so of course I do. But I love the name the heretic, because the heretic, and we could talk about the witch wound, we could talk about fear of persecution, which we will. That's why I called this episode Fame, Persecution, and the Fifth Line. The word heretic is very connected to this person who has these ideas, these heretical ideas, these rebellious ideas that go against what is considered the norm. This person is a hero to some, but a heretic to others. And we know in European history what they did to heretics, they burned them at the stake, right? Or did other things. So being a heretic for some people is a badge of honor. It's an incredible thing to be like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm a punk, I'm a rebel. I, look at what's happening and I know the truth, right? And then for other people, it's like the ultimate fear of being called a heretic. And I think that all of these ideas and all of these concepts really are wrapped up in the fifth line in human design. So if you have a 5, you know what I'm talking about intimately. So the fifth line has something that's called a projection field. This is really interesting because in the human design, there are 2 lines that have projection fields. The second line has a projection field and the fifth line does, and they work very differently. The fifth line projection field is, I would describe it as an inward projection, but different people describe it in different ways. Basically, there's this idea, there's this metaphor that you often learn when you're learning human design of the house. And each line is a different part of the house. The fifth line is the second story window. There's someone on the second story of a house, and the drapes are heavy and the drapes are closed. And all you can see, because there's a light on inside that room, is the shadow of the person moving behind the drapes. And because of that, you can only guess, or dare I say, project what you believe that person is doing and who that person is behind the curtain. You don't objectively know. This is metaphor for what it is like to be a fifth line person. People see you and they think they see you clearly, but 9 times out of 10, or even 10 times out of 10, they don't. They don't really know you. They don't truly understand you or what you're doing. They can only project onto you who they think you are and what they think you do. And this is a blessing and a curse. It can be a blessing because oftentimes, if they're projecting something great, it might even be better than what you intended, right? They're like, wow, look at this person. Oh my God, they're our hero. Look at that. Look at how amazing and talented they are. They'll save us for sure. I have no doubt. If someone's projecting that onto you, that's great, right? Objectively, it's like, oh yes, they're projecting such a great thing onto me. That can be really supportive to someone in their career. And then on the flip side, if someone's projecting onto you, oh, you're the villain, you have terrible intentions. I don't want to work with you. I've heard things about you, right? Your reputation. So it can go the other way as well. And you're like, whoa, 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 you misunderstand me. You've got me wrong, because you're projecting onto me who you are or what you think or what you heard, rather than what the objective truth is. But everything with the fifth line is subjective, not objective. So this projection field is something that if you are a fifth line, you can absolutely wield to your advantage. But at the same time, you have to be aware and have to be careful of the consequences. So let's get into the consequences. Let's talk about the hero complex. So if someone, actually, before I do that, let me just explain. The hero complex is very connected to the fifth line. And it's the idea of the hero or the heretic, right? It's like often people who are fifth lines grow up as children having this projection of being the hero. People expect them to save them from something. It could be that a parent who is not emotionally regulated, right, expected you to rescue them or to save them or to make them happy, right? It could be that in Girl Scouts, you were always the person who had all of the, all the tools. So if someone forgot their pen light at home, well, Rebecca's going to have one. She's a fifth line. No problem. The fifth line often has this idea of being the hero, and sometimes they want to be, but sometimes it's really just a projection. And that, imagine how that can feel over a lifetime or over a childhood of constantly having people think that you have the answer or that you can help them. Either you could buy into the hero complex, which a lot of us do. We buy into it and we say, yes, okay, yes. Like, especially if you're an overachiever like I am. I grew up as an overachiever and I was like, yes, oh my God, I can save the day. Yes, 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 yes. I will work hard. I will put my own needs to the side and I will overgive and I will overachieve every single time to get the love that I perceive that is going to come to me through this projection. Or you can totally reject it. And when people completely reject the hero complex and they're like, no, I am not your hero. No, I do not have the pen light. Stop asking me. Stop telling me to save you. I am not the one. What is that audio from Instagram that was really popular recently? Today is not the day and I am not the one. Because everyone thinks that the fifth line is the one. So sometimes you can reject that and just say, no, don't look at me. Don't talk to me. Don't ask me for anything. I just want to be in a dark room by myself and I want everyone to leave me alone. And so fifth line people kind of wrestle with this between being the person to jump in and save people or being the person who says, no, I need to protect my peace. And having boundaries can often be a really big challenge that fifth line people have to learn throughout their life, especially from childhood. So there is this projection field. And then there is this hero complex as well. One key piece of advice that I can give anyone who's a fifth line who understands and experiences this hero complex concept is to use it to decide which things you're willing to be the hero for and which things you are not. So on this podcast, I talk a lot about entrepreneurs, right? Most of you who are listening are likely entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs. So as entrepreneurs, you are selling a product or a service. That product or service is solving a problem for someone. It's quote unquote saving someone in some way. And so in your marketing, you're selling in your brand with your fifth line, what you want to do is to make sure that you are accepting the torch of the hero in some way. If you sell, doggy treats that are eco-friendly, you are the hero of like saving the planet and entertaining your pets, right? Like you get to decide in what way you want to be the hero, and you get to decide in what way you accept being the hero through your brand. So I highly recommend that you do that. So we have the hero complex, which can be sorted out through either accepting boundaries or rejecting of some kind, right? And then we have what sometimes happens when someone is not willing to accept the hero effect or the hero or not willing to take on the hero complex. By the way, this is going to happen anyway, so you cannot hide forever. You cannot hide forever, no matter what you do, whether it's like dropping your kids off at school and people invite you to lead up the PTA, or shopping in the grocery store and someone asks you for directions. You are not going to be able to avoid people seeing you as being in a position of authority or heroship. You're not going to be able to avoid it, but you could try. And one of the ways that people try, which makes me sad, honestly, it makes me sad because I see it all the time and because it's true. and also because it's, I think, damaging. It's nothing makes me more upset than someone who is not living out their potential, and like they know they have something inside that they want to do, some way that they want to make their world a better place or express themselves or satisfy their creativity. Nothing makes me more sad when I see that and then they won't do it because they're afraid of being burnt at the stake. And I understand the fear, and I have so much compassion for people who live with fifth lines but deny them. But at the same time, I just want to encourage anyone out there listening to this who might fall into this category to work on your courage, because this is not like the way that you were born is there for a reason. Like you were born as a fifth line for a reason. And developing the courage to be yourself is the adventure of a lifetime. It makes me like emotional to say, like, it is the adventure of a lifetime. It is the thing that you're here to do. And yes, you're going to have to learn how to say no. Yes, you're going to have to learn boundaries. Yes, you're going to have to learn to protect your peace. Yes, you're going to have to learn that you don't always have to be the hero. You're going to have to learn how to accept support and how to have good people around you that you trust, but you don't have to reject it all. And so that brings me to this beigifying thing that happens. The fifth, and by the way, to give credit where credit is due, the first time I heard this was from one of my human design teachers, Teo. He's incredible. He talked about the beigifying thing that happens with fifth lines. And it's so true. So often when we are rejecting the hero complex, or we're rejecting the heretic, we will hide. The only way to reject it is to hide, because everyone finds us. Everyone finds us. And so the way that we hide is by being beige. Hence my sweater. No, I'm just kidding. I love beige in interior design. That's not what this is about. This is about beige as a concept. Beige as a concept, which means you're really hiding your color. You're hiding your technicolor. You're hiding your sparkle. You're kind of dimming your light. And I once was in a group where I was speaking to people about this fifth line beigifying effect, and one of the women was saying, yes, like I wear beige to blend in. I don't do my makeup. I don't do my hair. I specifically am trying to hide because I do not want to stand out, but people still come to me. I'm like, yeah, it's like, you can't hide. You can't. And so it is a futile, attempt to hide, but it's not gonna work. But with the beigifying, that's one way of trying to handle the magnetic power of being a fifth line. But another, and dare I say, better way to handle it is to do what I call choosing your drag. Okay. So you want to choose your drag. As the great RuPaul once said, we are all born naked and the rest is drag. And it's 100% true. We wake up in the morning and we put on an outfit, we do the makeup, we do the earrings, we choose a certain vibe, we choose a certain drag that is our own, because we want to put out we want to share a certain message with the world about who we are, about how people should interact with us, right? And I've always been fascinated by this. I've always been fascinated by people who are more eclectic, who choose a different drag, who choose a drag that will stand out, that is not connected to trends or cares about being normal. I've always been obsessed with this. I've always been obsessed with drag queens. I've always been obsessed with people like Dita Von Teese, who have created an entire aesthetic that is not of the current time. And I love it. And I love the idea of alter egos. I also once had an alter ego myself. I'll have to tell you that story at some point, very fifth line of me. But this is the idea, is to actually create an avatar, create an alter ego, create a persona, whatever you want to call it, for yourself in your business. that is an expression of who you are. So right now I'm in my bed, I'm cozy, it's cold. I've got my tea. I'm chill. I've got some white chocolate covered biscuits. Like my little cat is here. I'm in cozy mode. But when I do a photo shoot for my business, best believe I'm in queen mode, because queen energy is what I desire to put out in my brand. It's all about confidence, leadership, sass, glamour, and boldness. And those are the things that are absolutely a part of me. Not when I'm at home recording a podcast in my bed on a cold winter's day, but I mean, I'm always a queen, but but those aspects of me, that persona, that drag, is the drag that I choose for my public business image for a reason. It's very connected to my mission, and it's just another side of me. So we all have lots of different sides of us. I have so many different sides of me, and so do you. And you get to choose which side you're going to put out there. Now, when you make that choice, you are telling people how and why they should interact with you. And this is where, as a fifth line, you get a little more control over these projections. So if people are going to project onto me, what I want them to project onto me is that I'm a badass cosmic queen. So I'm like, hello, I'm a badass, glamorous cosmic queen with long nails who loves a good photo shoot and is a little dramatic, right? Like that's what I want people to project onto me. And so therefore that is what I give them. You're welcome. So think about that for yourself. Think about how you can control, create your projection. People have been doing this for millennia. People, if you think about the entertainment industry, the celebrity industry, right? They actually sit around and talk about the projections that they're going to create for their stars. I'm telling you, you get to do that for yourself. And as a fifth line, it is imperative that you do this for yourself, because it means that you have more of a degree of control over what kind of requests you're going to get, who's going to ask you to save them, why are they going to ask you to save them, from what are they going to ask you to save them. And then you swoop in with your products, with your services that are perfectly placed for the brand that you have created, and you are executing everything in your business in harmony and alignment. And that is what you really, of course, desire to do. So fifth lines, let's recap. Let's recap where we're at. So yes, there is this aspect of fame. Yes, there is this aspect of persecution. And yes, there is this aspect of power as a fifth line. You have to take the good with the bad. You have to realize that as a fifth line, you are incredibly magnetic. Everyone wants to see what's behind the curtain. Everyone wants to know who you are, what you're up to, what you drank last night, who you're sleeping with, all this. Everyone wants to know, because you have this magnetism that people cannot get enough of. And you can use that and wield it and harness it to your advantage. You can be famous if you want to. A lot of people say fifth lines are, kind of not predestined. I don't like that word, but we're leaning more towards fame. I've always been obsessed with fame personally, and I have a fifth line. And I don't know about you, but it's always really fascinated me, the concept of celebrity, the concept of fame, the concept of, people loving you who don't know you, right? I wonder why that is, because I've been born a fifth line, and I am just fascinated by why people come up to me in the street and they think I'm famous, and they don't know who I am. Why is this happening? Fifth line. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this discussion and this like deeper dive into the fifth line. I hope you enjoyed some of the tips and tricks and advice that I gave you. I think that number one, recognize that you are the hero in your own story. We're all on our own hero's journey. We all are the main character, right? And I just am here to remind you to embrace that main character energy. Number two, you are living in a projection field, and people will not understand you fully. Even people who are truly close to you may not understand you fully. I remember the first time that I learned this about my human design, to me, it was actually a relief because my whole life I'd been kind of really almost like desperate for people to understand me. But when I realized that maybe they won't, maybe that's just not the path for me, I could relax and I could stop trying so damn hard for people to control what people thought about me, right? So just relax. You know that there's a projection field. It exists. Some people are going to get you, some people are going to get it wrong, and it's okay. Don't let yourself fall into the trap of the beige effect. You are not here to hide. You are not born on this earth with all of these powerful experiences, gifts, personality to be living in black and white. Like, that's not you. That's not you. You are here to be in technicolor. You hold the full spectrum, the full rainbow of life within you. And it's not time to be beige. And lastly, choose your drag. This is one way that you can absolutely tap into the power of your fifth line intentionally, especially in branding and business. Choose your drag intentionally, and you can control a little bit more of that powerful projection field. I hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you next time. Fifth lines, keep shining, keep being bright, keep doing what you do, and everyone else, keep reaching for the stars.